Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm Jeff Howard, and I have Chad Andrews with me on Zoom. Hey, Chad.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going great, and it's good to see you. All right, here is the introduction. Chad was the writer, director, and lead actor. I'm going to call you lead actor, although fairly, I would even say co-lead actor, right? Because
Yeah.
that film features an acting duo, which I must admit, I always love. There's something special about a duo, like people playing off, a pair of actors playing off each other. Always a great thing to see on screen.
Absolutely.
And The Butchers not only had its world premiere at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival in 2025, which was just last December, but you took home the Filmmakers Award for Outstanding Cast Performance in a Short Film. Right on. And I guess I should mention that was you and Andrew Merrigan, Connie Mew, who also was a producer, and other fellows, but the three of you were the ones that I think that were the critical getting that award. So congrats, and congrats on really a great film.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that.
And you want to share where you're talking to me from?
Yeah, I'm talking to you from Toronto, Canada.
Toronto, Ontario, Canada. There
You
you
got it.
go.
Let me know if my Canadian accent peeks through.
You know, it's always fun to talk to Canada. This week I've talked to Bahrain and Canada, so I'm
Mm,
I'm very international.
fantastic.
But
Yeah.
and I will add for everyone who can't see you, I will just share that in The Butchers, well, let's just say it's about butchers, and you play a fairly tough, serious dude, and somehow something about your performance makes you look 10 years older. And then I meet you at the film festival, and I had to do a double take because I'm like, wait a minute. His badge says The Butchers. He does kind of look like that guy, but he's just young and fresh face. He looks, you know what I mean? Like you
hmm
managed to remove all boyishness in your performance. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
thank you. I do know what you mean. I feel like I've always kind of had one of those faces, a bit of like a chameleon. People always used to comment on that, like, "Oh my gosh, like you do so many like facial expressions when you're so expressive when you talk and the way you communicate with people." So I just feel like I'm kind of used to always kind of contorting my face and doing certain things with it that like I love that. I love that I can kind of be something so different from the way people perceive me, like in real life. When they meet me, they're like,
Yeah.
"Holy cow, you were in that? That's
And it's
crazy."
pretty impressive to be able to do that with performance and expression and not just, makeup, right? So it's
Yeah, 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 yeah. Totally, totally.
a very cool
Uh,
thing to know you can bring to the table.
Definitely.
All right, sir. Well, you're in Toronto. Are you
Yes,
born
sir.
and raised there?
No, actually, born and raised on the west side of Canada in Alberta, in Calgary, Alberta.
Ah,
Yeah,
oil country, right?
oil country. People like to say it's like the Texas of the United States of Canada. So it's very much like that. Like during the summer, we have something called the Stampede. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but it's like the entire city lights up and becomes like a cowboy town for like 10 days. So we really embrace country western.
Right. So you have the Canadian, and by the way, if there is such a term, I'm a Canadiophile or whatever. Well, my best friend of 45 years was born in Winnipeg and now lives in
Mm,
Vancouver, but he
mm.
spent ages 10 to 30 in LA. That's why we're best friends.
Oh,
And
fair enough. Yeah, makes
but
sense.
I just love Canada, love Canadians. What can I say? I might have that part of my brain that's like, yeah, Canadians are just nicer people, and it's just kind of a better place. I'll get off the Canada topic because it's supposed to be about you.
Oh,
But it
yeah.
sounds like you have that story, the Canadian version of that American story of someone who
Mm.
grows up and then obviously going to Toronto is almost your equivalent of going to LA.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, yeah. In
Absolutely.
some cases, like going to New York, going to LA, but exactly, going to a city of dreams. Growing up in Calgary, I mean, there wasn't. I mean, there are things that film there. Don't get me wrong. Like they keep people busy out there, but it's certainly not a film hub. So growing up, I mean, I always loved movies. Always been obsessed with movies and TV shows, and I'd always, for a long time, wanted to be an actor. I discovered acting when I was 12, 13. I was in junior high school. Before then, I think I don't know. I think I had for some reason I had like a fantasy of maybe being like a police officer or like a lawyer or something like that. I don't know. I was really into like crime and criminal investigation and
That's
um,
normal kid stuff, right? That's we're
totally.
all, yeah.
We're all like that. I mean, like yeah, it's like playing
Everybody.
cops and robbers. You know what I mean? You're just kind of like I don't know.
But you loved
um,
film, and it also sounds like there was interest in performing.
Yeah, there was. So I went to the junior high school that I went to. I've always been a really scrawny kid, so I've always had an irrational fear of being shoved into a locker or worse. And so going to school at that level, you're given like a bunch of electives to choose from on top of your core classes. You know when like that starts in school, and there was like 10 options to choose from. It was like a huge amount of them, and one of them was drama class, and I put it last on the list. I was like, please do not give me this. Don't give anyone a reason to shove me in a locker. And so I put it last on the list, and they
Oh, so
gave
it
it to me.
wasn't shyness, it was knowing that drama club gets picked on.
Yes, 100%. I totally thought I was going to get picked on. I was
So
going to be a
what,
total
but you weren't
target.
shy about it. You kind of wanted to do it. Did part of you want to do it?
Honestly, at that point, I had no inclination that that's something that I wanted to do. I mean, I loved watching movies and I loved watching TV shows, but I like hadn't had that aspiration of wanting to be an actor yet. So
Gotcha.
had I
So the
not,
obvious end of the story that you got put in that class.
yes, yeah, had I not gotten that class, there's no way. I don't think I would have probably ended up pursuing acting.
Oh wow.
Uh,
So the class,
yeah,
go ahead. What happened in the
yeah, it
class?
was a total luck of the draw. So I got my first choice on the option list, and I got my last choice drama, and I immediately was like, I'm screwed. And so I was just dreading it, hanging my head going to class. But as soon as like I think it was literally that first class, I just immediately fell in love with it. It was like I found my tribe, you know, because I'd always been a goofy kid and like really expressive, and so like kind of having a class where you're encouraged to do that for a grade was like really exciting. I was like, oh, this is not what I thought this was going to be. And all of a sudden now I have like friends. People like what I'm doing. They're like laughing with me, not at me. I'm like kind of a hero. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm like living a dream here. So like complete opposite thing happened. And yeah, from literally that moment, that year, I think I literally said to myself, I want to be an actor.
That was
This is
somewhere
what I want to do with my
around
life.
12, 13-ish.
12, 13 years old. Yeah, I did the school play. I remember doing the school play and people loved it. And it was like the whole school came out and like, I mean, it was so exciting. Again, it felt like a place where I belonged and I felt like I could stand out and do something that people really, really loved and loved about me. And so it made me feel special, you know? I didn't feel like the outcast. I felt like totally in the in crowd because I was really good at drama. I was like, okay, cool. Well, this is it. This is what I'm doing.
I mean, I kind of got asked, did you
Found it.
get the lead in that school play or
I got a
just
pretty
was it
cool part. It
a
was
cool part,
it
right?
was
So you were able to stand
yeah.
out a bit.
I was definitely able to stand out. It was like that famous play Who's on First, where it's like I mean it's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's like where all of those jokes come from. Like the name of the baseball player is who, but it's like who's on first, who's on second, what's on third, and it's like a whole joke of
I think I
miscommunication of
don't know
names
is third base, but yeah, I got you.
or whatever.
But yeah,
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 exactly. Oh, so cool.
yeah.
All right, so that gave you the bug, and then
Mm.
did
Yeah, so
you
that gave me the
admit
bug.
it? Were you aware of it yourself that like you're like, okay, I want to act now, or was it sort of brewing in the background?
Honestly, I think at that point, it was all consuming. Um, I think finding that kind of joy and finding something that you felt like you really belonged in uh, just swept me up completely. And so it's all I wanted to spend my time doing and thinking about. So I think from there on out, it was like I wanted to watch more movies. I wanted to write little skits and little scenes, and I wanted to be in every school play, and I wanted to be in every extracurricular this and that. And like I went from junior high being like, okay, I'm going to go into high school. I want to go to a school that's for the performing arts. So I want to pursue that in high school. And yeah, I went to high school and I literally think I got, um, so I did the classic drama class, but they also had all of these elective awards that they could hand out to you. And I earned them all because I just did so much extracurricular with drama and acting and writing and directing when I was in high school that I didn't even have to take these extra classes. They were like, you're approved for all the credits for them. So like every year I was getting like awards for like best student in directing class, and I didn't take a directing class. I just did so much directing extracurricularly. They just gave me the award, and so like yeah, I did so much in high school, and I was like I didn't care really about any of my other core classes, and I knew I was going to go to university for acting.
And
Yeah.
you mentioned a high school for the performing arts. Was it a high school? I mean, honestly,
Yep.
I mean, I know most cities do have them, but like even in Los Angeles, sort of an entertainment hub, there's like one for like millions and millions of people. Like, so it's really cool that you had that option to go to a high school that focused on
Yeah.
performing arts.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. We had a couple in the city that put a big focus on that. Um, and yeah, I just felt, yeah, I was really fortunate that I could go to a school that had that as an option, and put a lot of care into it and just kept stoking the fire, you know?
Right. And then university, there was no question what you were going to study.
I mean, zero question. I mean, like I was doing not so great in a lot of my core classes, and I just remember being like, as long as it gets me into university, I can
You're
take
like
theater.
math,
I'm happy.
science, history.
I'll try my best, but
What does that have to do with what I want?
that's kind of what it was. That was kind of my attitude towards it. Which, in like, I mean, that is not a good lesson for any kid. I think you should take your core classes seriously, and honestly, I do because I think with the performing arts, with any creative pursuit, you think you're not going to need any of that stuff, but I'll tell you what. I mean, all of that stuff comes up. I mean, doing accounting for your own, like doing taxes for yourself, and trying to figure that game out. Need to have a simple understanding of mathematics and how the world works that way, and also
Heck yeah.
just
I
like
mean,
yeah,
I say all the time is if people listen to too many episodes of this podcast, they probably get sick of me saying it. But every indie film, whether it's a 3 minute short film or a 90 minute feature film, is a business startup. And and
yeah,
if
yes,
and if the creatives, and it's normally the creatives behind it, right? Because it's not like it. You know, you're setting up a business that runs 1 to 9 months and then folds on purpose, but it's still, if
sure.
you don't have the business acumen, if you don't give a shit about the numbers, you're screwed. Then you'll be one of those people who's like, hey, we just recorded a bunch of stuff. How do we edit it? What are we going to do next? Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
You have to have that kind of foresight. And I think also like reading, right? Like you think sometimes as a kid, you're like books that aren't that important. Like why do I need to learn about so and so? Like what do they matter? It's not like that, we're taking what they do and applying it directly to 2026. But it's like, okay, well, if you're an aspiring actor that you might end up writing something, you might end up directing something, it's good to have that research in your back pocket because there's going to come a time where you're going to want to pull that to relate to something in 2026 or future. And you just got to be kind of on your toes. The more knowledge you have, the better. So, long-winded way of saying to kids, you should study and do well in your classes, and you're
right.
going to need
But it's clear you were
it.
intellectually curious anyway. It's not like
Definitely.
you were focused on
Hmm.
but you said you were writing and doing a lot of
Yes.
directing too. So I guess the school had equipment and things for you.
Yeah, it was sweet. I mean, it was all theater based, so I didn't get to pursue film and TV until I moved out to Toronto. Again, just not being a film hub in Calgary where I grew up, everything was pretty theater dominant, which was great. I mean, it was something for me to still do what I loved and exercise that passion. But I always knew in the back of my mind I wanted to be in film. I wanted to be a film actor. I mean, that's really where my passion lied when I was like watching movies and being so caught up in them, compared to theater. Like I loved watching theater, but not the same way that I loved watching film. But yeah, they had a lot of resources for that, and I took a lot of that on my own too. I used to write a ton. I still do now. But when I was a kid, I would just write alone in my bedroom my mom used to say, like, instead of going out on a Friday night with friends, I used to just like stay locked in my bedroom, just writing for hours, writing my own plays and scenes. And I was just so curious. I had so many thoughts in my head, and that's kind of the way I always kind of looked at life. So I looked at life like a movie, like a play, and I would just get ideas of like, oh, what if these characters met and did such and such, and how crazy would that be if this person did that to that person? And like, okay, I got to get this out of my head. I got to write this right now. So that's kind of where it came from. It was just in there, you know?
So cool. All right. So where do you go to university?
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, we might as well.
university, yeah. So university comes along, and again, yeah, I'm 100% all in pursuing acting. At that point, I hadn't really thought about being like a writer director. It was always something that was kind of like a hobby, something that I really, really loved and enjoyed, but it wasn't something that I was confident in like pursuing. But with acting, it had been such a big part of my life already that I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I originally thought I was going to go out east right away. I was going to go to Toronto, to a program out here. And I don't know if it was laziness or just pure stupidity, but I could not figure out their portal system with the university. I ended up missing my audition, and I was like, oh well. I got in to the university that was near me, the University of Calgary, and I was happy with that. I was home. I was still close with my parents, and my parents really loved that. And it was, people had a lot of really great things to say about the school. So I was like, okay, that's fine. That's cool. So yeah, I went there. I had an amazing time. I think in retrospect, I've always said that like, if I could go back, I might have studied something different. Only in the sense that I don't necessarily feel like a degree in the performing arts or a degree in drama is something that you need to tell yourself that this is, that now you can pursue this professionally. It doesn't need to be your stamp of approval, because of the fact that like anything that's in the creative arts is so subjective, that it has very little to do with any sort of pieces of paper that you carry.
It's so true. It's not like anyone's ever gone into an audition, and if they're well, here I am talking like there's still auditions that are in person. But like when you hand
Yeah.
over it used to be you'd walk in and you'd have right, the headshot, and on the back of the
Hmm.
headshot someone had their resume taped, and if it said, University of whatever performing arts or University of whatever economics, they didn't care about the degree. They didn't even look at the degree. They were just looking at the face.
That's it. They were like, can you do the thing I'm asking you to do? Like, that
Yeah.
is all I care about.
So you're
Not your
saying in
potential to do it.
retrospect, you would have loved to have like a minor in acting or performing arts, or
Well,
what,
again, back to what you were saying, I had,
and focus on
yeah,
something else, like been a history major, so you'd be great at all those epic dramas that take place, the costume dramas with.
100%. Absolutely. Back to what you were saying, I am someone that's extremely curious about so many different things, especially history and sci-fi and science and like where the world's going and and mysteries and criminology, and like I'm just so interested in like how people think and why they do the things that they do, like all of those things. And so, there's so many kinds of field of study that you can take, to exercise that kind of intrigue. And so in retrospect, yeah, I mean, I think I would have liked to have taken a degree that could facilitate that. But then also, I guess at that time, I think differently now, but at that time, then I would have probably had, if I was going to get a degree, I would have had a degree that quite honestly would have done something for me more than, a drama degree. I mean, a drama degree is great if I want to be follow that stream of education and into, into a higher level education like universities. But if that's not what I'm looking to do, then maybe it's better to have something in psychology or criminology or, a law degree or, yeah.
So you're actually thinking about the your university degree in retrospect could have been like a backup career kind of thing.
It could have been at that time.
Yeah.
It could have been a backup career if I was going to do that. To be quite honest with you now, like how, what I've grown to be, I think I just wouldn't have gone to university, period. If I could tell my younger self, and I
That
would
was
have just
actually that was a
jumped
question on
into
the
the
tip of my
pond.
tongue, but I've gotten better about not interrupting people, which is I wondered if you were tempted to do the thing of like, Which some people do, which is you just skip the college thing and go straight. I've got friends who went straight to New
Hmm.
York to try to act, or straight to LA to try to write and direct, and it's true. Like, you know, it
Yeah,
worked.
I mean,
There's
it
just as
does.
many people make it that way as, you know, I mean, Meryl Streep might have gone to the Yale acting program that takes like 8 people a year or whatever. But
Uh-huh.
besides that, yeah, I mean, if you wait tables in LA and, then you end up on The Office and story over.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. And I think, in terms of learning the craft of acting, because I think that's important, to clear up, is it's not so much so dogging on not getting an education in acting. I think that's vital and so important. It's important in any facet of creative art that you're doing. But it doesn't mean that it has to be in something like a university. When I moved out to Toronto, I met my acting coach that I still train with, um, and he's the best coach I've ever met. I met him day one, and I was like, this guy knows what this is about. Like, he's got something special, and I still believe that he's incredible. And so, I definitely still think you need those people in your life, but you can go out to the hubs and find that, right away. You don't have, and I think it came from a place of fear, by and large. I was like, oh, it's good to have some sort of backup, you know. Otherwise, what do you do if you start drowning?
We're we're
But
we're
quite,
we're told
yeah,
that all our lives. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
totally. We're told that all our lives, and
Yeah.
we don't have to believe that per se.
Well,
Yeah.
we've got you in Toronto already, but should I just ask, like, during university, did you actually, because in high school it sounded like it was mostly stage based. At university,
Yeah.
where did you start to get to work with cameras and like perform for the camera and direct with the camera? No, you're shaking your head no.
No,
Stayed
no.
completely stage oriented.
It was all stage oriented. I think the first time I was in front of a camera, that was like significant, was at the end of my university career, and I started looking for like a film agent with, again, no film acting um, uh, lessons, or uh, I had no experience, um, and I got it's funny. I got the first thing I auditioned for. I booked the first thing I auditioned for, which was a pretty great sign, but it was so naive because I was like, oh, this is how it's going to be. This is great. Like, I made it. Like, I'm clearly perfect for this. I'm going to get the next thing. I'm going to get the next
And is
thing. And
that
obviously
the
that,
first
that
thing you auditioned for once you got to Toronto, you're saying?
no,
Or
in
this is
Calgary,
back in
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 Calgary.
Calgary. You
This
you
was back in Calgary. This was before I moved to Toronto. It was before I pursued it
But you're like,
outside of
hey, you audition for
university.
things and you get them. This is life. This is
That's
sweet.
it. This is sweet. And it also validated me. I was like, okay, this piece of paper I have that's, telling me I'm a professional actor, it's clearly paying off. They see that, you know? So that was cool. And then I also did a short film around that same time. So those were my first two experiences
And it
before
was
moving to
acting in the
Toronto.
short film. You when
It
you
was
said you
acting.
did one, yeah, you weren't at the point where you wanted to produce and direct yet.
No, and so that didn't come until way later. So just jumping forward. So then I moved to Toronto to pursue acting. Met my coach, who changed my life around, not just as an actor, but also I think in many ways of just how I view the journey of life. Um, and it was a journey of really coming back to self, and finding out who do I really want to be, so that as an actor, I can have that person meet the character halfway and be whole. I don't know if that makes sense. I could always elaborate, but I feel like it's a good way of putting that. Um, and it really wasn't until the Butchers that I was like, I need to learn how to make a film. Um, there had been a few times before that where I was like, I wanted to, and I would get a little bit ahead on things. I'd have a script, and I'd start asking people, to start making something, and I would always kind of stop myself because it just felt like too scary. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing behind the camera.
Right? You felt like
Um,
you were getting out of your lane, so to speak.
I was totally getting out of my lane. And also I should say too, when I moved to Toronto, it's kind of sad because in the sense I don't know why this happened. I think it was also fear based, but I just stopped writing. As soon as I pursued film, I just stopped. And I think it was because I was like, I don't know how to write a screenplay. Um, and so I was like, well, if I'm pursuing film, I've kind of left this theater part of me behind. So I kind of left it all behind. And it wasn't until COVID that I rediscovered writing again. And I was like, same thing. I was like, you know what? I'm going to teach myself how to write a screenplay. It can't be that hard, you know? Like, obviously, it's rule based, and there's so many things that you need to understand about how to format. And that was the thing that was really, really scaring me. So I just sat down and I learned, you know what I mean? I wrote a ton during COVID, a lot of things that are not very good, but like, I was determined, to refine that passion. And I'm so glad that I did, because now that I know the proper way of writing a screenplay, uh, I get to do the same thing I did as a kid. You know, if I have an idea or I see life a certain way, I can take those thoughts and put them on the page, and that's so liberating. And I'm really grateful for that. So yeah, so after COVID, still, you know, kind of having a little bit of inclination to want to make a movie, not sure how. Okay, I've learned how to properly write for screen. I've got that. I've got scripts. You know, I had some things that I was really excited about. And then I was also just like, hey, I really want to direct something. But then the Butchers came along, and I was like, okay, seriously, this time I'm gonna make a movie, and I'm not gonna stop myself. Even if it's the worst thing in the world, I don't care. I need to learn how to do this. Otherwise, I just never will, you know?
And was it
So I
that
was,
once you
yeah.
finished that short screenplay, you like when you read it back, you know, you probably, hopefully you did the smart thing of like, okay, I won't look at it for a couple of weeks, and I'll look at it again. And you looked at it again, and you basically read it, and it leapt off the page, and you could just picture the film, and you're like, okay, this one, I should make this one. Did the script itself make you make it? Is what I'm asking.
Uh, no, it's a great question. I think yes, but it is a little more nuanced than that. So The Butchers was one of three short films that I was feeling really confident about. Three stories that I was really interested in telling. The other two, I'll be quite honest with you, and I've said to people, probably are a little more poignant about life and a message about morality and what it means to be a person, and like our faults, and a bit more connected maybe to me and my life, so a bit more personal. But with The Butchers, I saw that as something that was just so purely fun. And it does have a bit of a message to me, even though it's not the driving force of the film. Uh, it was important to me to have these two unlikely characters be this focal point of what like a friendship is, and a love in a male friendship, and that's kind of an underlying theme throughout the entire film. So it does if you look deeply, it does have some poignancy. But mostly, I saw this as an opportunity to offer to people that are more experienced than I a blank canvas for people to try something new, to try something creative and get wild with their creativity. Because I outside of that, I only had my acting to offer. I didn't have that expertise behind the camera to offer. So I felt like if I could offer something where people were like, "Oh, well, you know, yeah, I have my day job and I have my thing that's very mathematical ones and twos. I'm very used to doing that thing, but you're offering me this other thing over here that's like really exciting and really different, and it kind of gets their juices flowing." I kind of hope that would be a really great way to reel people in to my world and want to work on this project with me. So that's why I picked The Butchers. uh, yeah, I thought it would be a great project for everybody.
Well, and I wanna add compliments now. I'm finally gonna jump in because I didn't get to do your Q&A. I don't get to do Q&As anymore at the festival. Is that I think what made it super compelling for me as one of the jurors, and believe me, you got into the festival, which means all the jurors loved it.
Thanks.
But it is that, so I don't think it's a spoil. Oh, I didn't ask you at the top of this podcast if obviously we had your world premiere in December, so you're still on the festival circuit for a while.
Yes, sir.
So people can't watch it yet online. So I will avoid spoilers, I suppose. But I think,
But that's okay. Don't worry about it. Just to stop you there. My intention is I want people to watch this film. So don't you worry if a spoiler comes out. I'm not offended or bothered.
all right. Well, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Well, I feel like the organized crime genre has been beaten to death and I have zero interest in it. And then I see a film like The Butchers, and it is such a creative, original idea that honestly makes a lot of sense, right? Like no one's ever dealt with this side of organized crime that your two main characters are involved in. But you watch it and you say to yourself, that makes sense. I'm sure this dude made it up, but it makes enough sense that I could almost believe this is how bodies are disposed of sometimes. And I just thought it was just for me the fact that you were able to bring some original ideas to one of the most browbeaten genres we've got that all you know what I mean? That's
I
I
know
just
what you
think
mean.
that
And
make I just think
thank you.
that at the story level it just stands out. And then the fact that it's well directed, extremely well acted. I mean, you guys got the cast performance award. So it's like that's for me, I would think that the screenplay just really jumped off the page and said, "Man, this is people are going to remember this film."
I'm really grateful for that. Thank you for saying that. Means a lot. And I did think it was something different and unique, especially the core premise of it. I had read, weirdly, doing some research, and I'd read that the regulations of selling body parts in the United States is a little loose to keep it light, and I found that really intriguing because I was like, huh, if you're telling me that you could legally trade body parts, that would be a really great way to cover your tracks. You know? I mean, if you were good enough at it, you could literally, like, you wouldn't have to worry about anyone ever finding the body of the person you killed. Like, you wouldn't have to worry about it. It's in the psych, it's in the system, you know? And
You could
it's
have body
above board.
parts spread across the whole continent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They've been signed off as totally legal and a product for people to buy. I
It's
mean, it's
it's
crazy.
the the equivalent
Yes,
of money laundering for
you got it.
a corpse. Yeah. Yeah, it
Yes,
cleans
that's
it.
exactly
That
right.
is, see,
Yeah,
and that has not. I mean,
yeah,
seriously, that hasn't been done before. And people,
I agree.
the degree of creativity there just really impresses me.
Thank you. And I have to say too, I mean, I was again, being a first time filmmaker, a writer that was always doing it as a hobby, I was so blown away by the people that came on board for this film. I again, like I told you, I was like, I'm gonna make this film no matter what, even if it's bad. And then people just kept saying yes. And I was like, holy cow, like, am I going to make this thing? Like, do people actually believe in this project? Do people like this? Like, I was shocked. It was like, I met someone on set on an acting gig, and he's one of my producers on the film, Theo. And he extended an olive branch, and he had just finished directing a film of his own. And he was like, I really want to make something. Are you a writer? And I was like, I am, but I really just do it for myself. And he's like, well, send me something. I'd love to read it. And I was like, okay, if you're sure. And I sent him this and he loved it, and I was like, oh shit, really? That's cool. I've never had that before. Again, I never shared my work with anybody. And I was like, cool. We met, and we started working on the project together, and he helped me for months editing it back and forth. I would send him draft after draft, and he'd have just the most brilliant ideas to offer me to make the script better until eventually we were ready to send it to a producer. And then same thing. I met with a producer in the city, and we grabbed coffee, and she was like, do you have the script with you right now? And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. She was like, okay, great. Can you just take it out? I'll read it right in front of you. I'll tell you if I like it or not. And I was like, oh, geez. All right. She reads it. I'm just like twiddling my thumbs, really nervous. And she finishes it, and she's like, I love this. This is so crazy. This is exactly the kind of project I want to do. I'm like, wow, what? Like, there's no way something I've written, people are actually this intrigued, and it just kept happening with everyone that came on board, with my DP, with my actors, and with everyone from costume to makeup to camera to set design. Like, it was so humbling to have people believe in this project, and I got just the best artists working on this film. So I just want to say that because it was a really eye opening moment for me to feel like, oh wow, I can actually do this thing, and I have something to offer. So it
And
gave me a
and
new
it
belief in
sounds like,
myself.
I mean, and this is not putting down any film that's ever been at our festivals. But, most of the time, I guess I kind of expect the story of like it was your friend group and a bunch of friends came together.
Hmm,
But this was actually I'm just going to call it a higher level of actually
hmm,
showing it to people who weren't friends, who weren't just doing it because, oh, my friend wrote this, I'm going to read it. Like this was actually dealing with
totally.
acquaintances and or strangers responding to it and wanting to be involved.
Yeah, it was a mixed bag, but it was a lot of people that I had never worked with before. And then of course favors and people that I have worked with before. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that was
Once you're
also
rolling, yeah.
once you're going, and so thank you for bringing that up, but also just the I also think it's important to to mention to other actors, if any actors are listening to this, that like one of the beauties I think of being an actor is that we all start by doing a lot of more independent projects. We're doing a lot of projects with first time filmmakers and first time people in all the roles when it comes to filmmaking. And before you get into the union and you start doing more of those union projects. And so you sort of naturally build this film family. And that's what I like to call it. It's film family. And they're so grateful that you got to work on their project because obviously it was such a passion for them. So when it comes along to your time and you're like, I want to make something, there's a really good chance those people would love to work with you and be a part of your project just as much as you were a part of theirs because they'd be grateful, that they're grateful for what you did for them. So I feel like I was really lucky that I had so many people like that I could call on when it came my
Absolutely.
time.
And here's an interesting one. What about directing it? Like, did you
Hmm.
have to did you ever have that moment where you thought maybe I should hand it off or you knew you were going to direct it from the beginning and everyone was on board with that?
That is a really great question. Yeah, and it does have a bit of a crazy answer to it. The an- the answer is no. I didn't know from the start I was going to direct it. Um, uh, Someone else was supposed to direct it, um, and in the end, I ended up taking over the position of directing. And the reason why I did that uh, is it really came down to realizing, and it's unfortunate it came down this way. I just have to say, I'm so grateful that it was one of my producers and that was supposed to direct it originally. I'm so grateful that him and I have maintained such a solid relationship, and he did not stop helping me with this project even after that fact. And I'm so grateful to him. And he's helped me all along the way. He's been instrumental in making this project come to fruition. But I ended up taking over directing simply because I realized I had this vision for this film that I did not realize was so cemented in my mind. Um, so anything that was deviating away from that, I felt like I could not let that go. Uh, and I think, it's an unfortunate situation, but it really, I think it's the best thing that could have happened for me and for the project, even though this had to happen, which is that I took it over because I was like, I know exactly how this film is supposed to be. And now I realize that I'm supposed to actually direct this project. Yeah,
As
I feel
thoughtful
like
as
it's a,
you're being, right? You're being so
yeah,
thoughtful and magnanimous about it. But, it wasn't it's not like you pulled away like a studio feature from somebody. You know what I mean? Like,
you're right. No, you're
like
right. You're right.
I'm sure that
Yes.
other director was happy to stay involved because he's like, yes, Chad should direct this. I'm happy to
Yes.
happy to have him direct his own script, and I will support that
Yeah,
because it was your idea, and it was, and you were clearly showing. I mean, you showed the creativity of coming up with something original, so why not let you
definitely.
carry it over the finish line? I'm
Yeah,
sure that was the attitude.
yeah. He was absolutely generous with that, and it was a tough phone call still to make because you don't you promise something to someone and then to change that on them is never like a comfortable call to make.
No.
Um, and also it was 6 days before we went to shooting.
Oh, damn. So there'd
Yeah,
already
so
been some prep and whatnot.
there
A
was a ton
lot
of
of
prep.
prep.
Yeah, a lot of prep. And I had been a part of every single one of those decisions. That's the other thing. I didn't realize how involved I had been in this project. I was extremely involved. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm coming in out of no, no, no. The reason why I bring that up is because it was another aspect of the journey um, that I had to really learn, which was, okay, now I have to convince everybody that this was the right move to make and that this ship is not sinking. And I remember writing every single head of department a personal email or message uh, telling them why this was the best choice for the film and that they can believe in this film still, and this film is in steady hands, and they have they can put their full faith and belief in me. Um,
I want to
so
jump
that
in
was
and
tough.
share that I think that was a
Yeah.
brilliant decision, not even for how well the film turned out, but for you personally, because look, I have this weird place in the world where uh, I've been doing this podcast for 9 years, two film festivals a year for 11 years, and I've met so many actors who wrote, acted in, and produced something and had someone else direct it. And they have sat across the table for me before we start recording, and I certainly can't name names. And
No.
they've all said, they've actually, it's often they've come back with a second film to our festivals that they did direct, and they're like, I was so regretful that I didn't direct that first one. I,
Hmm.
I, I was, I, I was so unhappy that I didn't direct that first one that I had to make another film. So I swear to you, following your instincts was so smart because
Thank
I
you.
know I've known so many people not have the guts to make that switch
Hmm.
and direct that project that I can promise you would have been one of those if you would if someone else had
I think I
directed
would
it
have.
and we were talking and I was talking to the writer producer lead actor you might have said to me before after we finished recording, I should have directed this, by the way,
Yeah,
even though I love the way
guarantee
it
you.
turned out. I love the way it
Yeah.
turned out, but I should have directed this. So
Yes.
bravo. Bravo.
Thank you.
I can promise you that's true. If I was going to use my usual joke, if I had $1 for every time someone said that to me, I'd have like $8.
Well,
Like,
hey,
like
yeah.
I could almost afford to take you to Starbucks
You
with, well, we could have
yeah, yeah,
smalls,
yeah.
like, yeah,
We yeah, we can have a couple of espressos on
but
you
that's
for eight
still eight
dollars.
people. I'm sure there's been at least eight people share that.
Absolutely.
So
No,
that's
I
a pretty
appreciate you
large
saying that.
sample, actually. So there you go.
Absolutely.
I had to
Thank you.
jump in and say
Thank you.
bravo for making that switch.
Thanks so much. Means a lot.
And obviously, it was a fun process. So you took over with 9 days or so to go, and then
Yeah.
boom, you're
Six
on
days, yeah.
set
Yeah. So
or on location,
yeah,
I should say.
on location. Yeah, thank you again, by the way, for saying all that. Yeah, it was harrowing, and I was like, can I do this? Of course, I had all those doubts. But no, I mean, there was no time to waste. That was the thing. There was no. It was kind of the beauty of it. There was no time for me to worry. I had to just be like, I had to act. It was just like this has to get done. So yeah, you got to step into these shoes and do it now. It was an incredible, beautiful experience. It was a 3 day shoot. We did it in this really cool loft, and I found it through a friend of a friend, and he was uh, they were so generous with the space. And I recommend this to anybody, especially if you're dealing with any sort of special effects in blood. Don't lead with that when you're trying to get a space. Uh, we did that with a couple other locations when we were location scouting, and you can see that, quite literally the blood rush from their face, and they go pale, like we're not having your project in here. Let me tell you that. But it's just important to be, you know, have them realize that you're a normal person. You have really good intentions, and that you have professionals working on this, and to tack that on as an additional thing that you're doing, but you will ensure that you will take care of this person's space, no matter what. So we did that, and they totally believed in us, and they were there the entire shoot. They had so much fun, being a part of the entire experience, and I loved it. I loved the space because it was really important for me to have a location that looked like it was in a metropolitan city, but it wasn't. it was nondescript of which metropolitan city it was. I didn't want it to feel Canadian. I know that's awful to say. I'm a Canadian. I love Canada. But I think sometimes there's a stigma around, certain countries, and I think Canada is one of them. Is what is a Canadian film? And so I didn't want that to be a part of what people thought or saw when they were watching my film.
If you had asked me at the festival, because of course I couldn't lock in my head, that you were coming from Canada, I would have assumed it was New York. You
That's awesome.
absolutely pulled it off. You absolutely pulled off, uh, not just geographically vague, but in fact, before we jumped on this podcast, before I looked and saw again that the country you're from is Canada, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be on Zoom with a dude in New York this morning. Like
Sweet.
I literally thought we were talking times that I was doing yeah, yeah, because, well, you're the same time zone anyway, but you know what I mean?
Same time zone. I
Like
did see
the
that in the email.
butchers,
I was like, I'm
the
not going to correct
butchers
you.
literally looks like New York, if you ask me. And I've spent a lot
That's
of time there.
so
What can I
lovely.
say?
That's great. That's a great compliment. I'm glad to hear that. It was important.
And
Um,
let me jump in
yeah.
with a question too, because we also have to throw props.
Yeah.
Your co-lead, Andrew Merrigan,
Yes. Yes.
friend or casting? Because amazing performance.
I mean, he was fan freaking tastic. Yeah, he's a friend. He is a friend, but that is not. Yeah, it's actually kind of a cool story. Okay, so when I very first time I started writing this idea, was during COVID, and I was still a non-union actor in Canada. And I was desperate to get in the union. And I don't know, I don't know what you know about actors getting into the union, but it's a real catch-22. You know, you need credits to get in, but to get those credits, you need credit. It's like, you're like, this is impossible. So I had heard of my friend Andrew had gotten himself a credit and into the union by doing his own work, by directing his own work. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. Um, Came up with this idea, started writing it actually, help getting him to help me edit it, very originally, first few drafts. And so that was my plan. And I ended up getting into the union on my own as an actor, getting on a couple TV shows. And I was like, oh, okay. So I don't need to do this anymore. And, again, that was one of the times, right, where I was like, I'll get a little bit forward and then I'll stop myself. And I totally stopped myself. And then years went by, probably like, I want to say 3 years, before I, again, picked the butchers back up when I want to do this. Fast forward to casting, and of course his name came to mind. Didn't want to just totally go, yes, 100%. We're going to go that direction. So we did do a little casting. We saw another actor for the part. And we also had Andrew do a tape for us. And what's funny is I am neurotic sometimes, so I was a bit wishy-washy. I got it back, and I was like watching both, comparing, and my producer Connie watched the tapes over my shoulder, and she was like, she saw Andrews, and she was like, okay, great, so we're good, we're done, right? And I was like, wow, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean we're done? Are you sure? Like, are you sure? And she's like, why are you even questioning it? He's freaking perfect. And so I was like, okay. But it was funny because the fact that I even had that waffling, she always brings that up, is like, that was a crazy moment. It was so obvious. And I'm so glad that she was so pushing for him. Not that I don't think I would have come around to that idea on my own. But yeah, so we reached out to him, we cast him in, and I'm so glad that it worked out that way, because quite honestly, like, I basically originally wrote this part for him. Like, that was, again, I was hoping he was going to help me get into the union. So I always had his voice, his face in mind when I was writing this character, which probably also works to why he played it so well. So I also have to jump forward then. So obviously he's great all the way through. But one of the craziest moments was on set. There's again, the save spoilers, there's a turning point for his character where it gets pretty crazy. And when that happened, my jaw literally hit the floor, and I was like, "This guy's gonna steal my movie." Like 100%. I was like, that is the wildest thing. I literally forgot to yell cut because I was so enthralled by what I was looking at on the monitor. Um, it was incredible. It was like, because he's so funny. And like, as a person, like he kept me laughing the entire time we were shooting that movie, which was so great for me because I was so stressed and I needed that that relief. And to see him switch and become so manic and so scary, and I believed it, I was like, holy shit, this guy's good. Um, yeah, makes me emotional even thinking about it because I'm just like, yeah, he's fantastic. I'm really I owe a lot to him. I'm so glad he's part of this project. He's incredible.
And you were asking a lot of that actor, right? Yeah, the actor
Yeah,
who played that role, Morgan, right? Was just really that was honestly that was kind of gracious of you. I don't know. For all I know, there was moments where you thought maybe I should play that one because that's right because that's the there's a lot of meat on those bones for
there
that
are. You
part.
know what? I never saw myself in that part.
All right.
I don't think I could have done it justice like he did. And it was fun. It was pretty funny, especially when it comes to the special effects. Because I remember there's actually some BTS video footage of our special effects artists being like, "Okay, so you want the blood? You want where do you generally want the blood?" And I just go like, just right all over his face. And he's like, "Oh, over the face? Yeah, just right up in there." And you can just see Andrew being like, "Oh, bud, okay." I mean, who likes to be sprayed with a bunch of fake blood right up in their nostrils and eyes? So he was a real trooper, I have to say. He's pretty incredible that he took that on.
I want to joke that I think almost every actor on earth wants to be splattered in blood at some point in their career, right?
It's pretty exhilarating. He even he got caught on the okay. He got caught on the security camera of the building we were shooting in with blood on his face, and I got a very aggressive phone call the next day from the superintendent being like, "What is going on in this building?
Because they don't
I
know
see
it.
this guy running around, blood all over his face." Like, oh
Yeah,
my God.
that's how convincing that. There you go. You had a great, like you said, the department heads knew what they were doing. Excellent.
For sure. For sure. So
All right,
good.
so 3 day shoot, and then
Yeah.
uh, pretty straightforward, I imagine. You knew exactly what you were. It seems like it was really well planned out. So you get in that editing room, and everything
hmm
is singing the way you want it to.
Um, um, could have been
Or you
singing a
had to
little bit
find the
better.
film in there.
Could have been could have been on pitch a little better. No, it's not. No, we didn't. I wouldn't say we needed to find the film in editing, but there were moments that I think, I have to say, being a first time filmmaker, I came across being like, oh, I can see why transitions are important. Otherwise, how do we get from A to B? Right. Well, we're missing that, so shoot. Like, how do we fix this? But no, I think it's not that we found the story in the editing. We totally had the story. I knew how this was going to go. We just had moments where it was either little moments where we're like, okay, we have to figure out this transition point. We don't have it. How do we do something creative here? How do we change it? Or there were moments where, okay, context or something is missing. How can we give it life, or how can we get something in there to bridge this gap? We had one pickup shoot day that definitely did all of those things for us.
Yeah, you created a
Uh,
list, you had your shot list, and you knew you were
yeah.
filling in all those gaps.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And one of them actually is kind of an incredible thing to talk about. So we had to get plates on our pickup shoot, and at that time, I didn't know what that meant. And my producer, Connie, also didn't know what that meant. And so we just were like, our editor was just kept saying we needed plates. And so we said, we told our DP we need to get plates on for the sink. And the reason was is because we needed our editor to break the sink in post. Um, so you could remove that handle and make it look like Morgan wrenched it off. So our DP just didn't really understand. He's like, why do we need to get, why does he need this though? Like, I don't really understand. And we were like, I don't know, Michael, let's just shoot it. My producer Connie just said, I don't know, let's just shoot it. And so he set up the camera, shot the plate in the daytime. We did all the other stuff that we needed to do, came nighttime. And then the reason why I know this is long, but it's really important, is then my producer said in the evening, hey, Michael, can we get those plates again? And he's like, really? Why? Do we really need it? You need it for the nighttime too? He's like, just in case. We can't come back here. Kevin really needs it for the edit. If you could just get these plates even in the evening time. And he's like, okay. Sets the camera back up again. It's not like he marked it. He just like threw the camera down, did it generally in the direction that he thought he shot it earlier in the day. And he was like, great, you got it? Yeah, okay, we got it. Cool. We go in the editing room. We realized we didn't have a big transition that we needed from our daytime to our evening. And we were like, what are we going to do? And that's when Connie went, holy shit, those plates that we took, can you pull those up? And he did. And they were nearly identical the way that he shot them. And a lot of people had questions about this shot. It's the sync shot where it slowly transitions from day to night. And a lot of people are like, oh, your DP must have just had the camera sat there and just let the sun go down and transition to night. And no, it's just a crossfade. We literally just did a crossfade of those two plates. And it looked stunning. We were all like, whoa, this is the shot. So, I mean, it was, so we had a couple of those happy accidents that just made the film so much richer. To see that, it was pretty phenomenal. And it came out of an accident. So that was pretty cool.
And every film from Citizen Kane to a student film has those happy accidents for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Has to happen.
Has to happen.
Cool.
So,
All right.
yeah, it was really cool.
So you how'd it feel when you first saw an assembly and or your cut? Like,
Great question. Okay, so the first time I saw the assembly was a mixed feeling of going like, "Whoa, this is so cool!" It's my movie. But it was also quickly followed up by, "Why does my movie look so bad?" And I remember my editor being like, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine." Like, movies really don't start to look like movies until you get to the color stage and you get the sound involved and everything like that. It's a lot of picturing what this is going to look like. So it was incredible having him, and it was so important for me to be a part of every single thing. I was part of every single editing session with him, and because I just wanted to learn everything, be a part of it all. So I'm really grateful to him that he allowed me to be so intrusive on his creative process too. But no, from there, and then when I saw. Again, when color got involved, even before then, I started getting really excited. We were finding things, and really, things were really coming together. There were, those, of course, all of those things, those tricky spots, but it took so much longer than I thought. It was really naive of me. I remember we finished shooting, and we got it into editing. I think it was like January 2024. We started editing, the end of January or something like that. And I naively was like, we can get this done by April, right? Because I was like eager to start submitting. And, again, it's my first time, so it's like super naive of me to think that. And obviously it did not happen. We didn't officially finish the film until early parts of 2025. So obviously took way longer.
but that's also because everyone's got to make a living and have food and shelter, right? And I assume you didn't have the kind of budget where you could have everyone working in post work full time on it. Like when you're making a short, it's right. I mean, I won't bother with going with the long quote, but you know exactly what I'm saying. Like, part of the time was obviously that you have to be patient when you're making an indie short because.
Totally.
Unless you're a trust fund kid, in which case then you can get it done in 3 weeks. But it won't be
right. Right. Yeah. Exactly. And I don't think it. I think it sometimes it needs that time. To really, sink into the choices that you're making. But yeah, once the color was involved, and seeing, all the choices really pop and getting the sound mix in there, the actual, not just the temp. I was like, wow, wow,
Right? Sound and
film.
music.
It was so cool. Uh, yeah, yeah, that was unforgettable. To see the film really come alive for the first time.
Excellent, excellent. So, were you just watching it by yourself? Did you do a little friends and family thing up in Toronto watching it once you were done? Or because obviously I'm
Um,
going to get to, and again, just freaking lucky that we got to host a world premiere for you.
that was so
But
dope,
I,
so cool.
I know you didn't sit around going, rubbing your hands together, going, I'm going to submit to Sherman Oaks Film Festival, nobody else, and see if I can have my world premiere there. Obviously, we were just fortunate to be the first to have that opportunity to screen it.
Yeah, yeah, and I am so thankful. Thank you for choosing us and having us there. What a blast and an incredible milestone in my journey, in the film's journey too. But yeah, you're right. I mean, we had submitted to a lot of film festivals, and again, we were doing this for the first time, so we were trying our best to strategize. We were trying to figure out, where does this film fit, and I'll be completely honest with you. We were getting a lot of no's, and some that were like, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe that's not feasible at this point. You're con, you're uh, Toronto International, and but you still sometimes want to do that, because it's just, you're saying to the universe, this is where parts of where I want my journey to go. Um, but also it was just trying to figure out what, like, we didn't seem to fit the bill for a lot of film festivals, and we couldn't figure out why. And so we tried to change our strategy, and tried to look at, we were trying to read everything about every film festival. We were very diligent about that. We never just threw the film at any film, with Sherman Oaks, like, would have been included. We would have looked and been like, would this film, based on what they're saying on their website, on Film Freeway, any information you can find on Reddit, like, does this seem like a film festival that would take us? I do, I think it would. Okay, let's submit. And we're so fortunate that you picked us. But, like, some of those choices didn't work, and we're like, okay, what is it about the film? So I'd be curious to know what you think, just talking openly and candidly about it. I think I started to discover, like, I feel like the film is a mix of so many things, so many genres, that it can be maybe challenging to program it amongst other films, that maybe it's like, oh, okay, well, it's not quite enough horror, it's not quite enough thriller, it's not quite enough dark comedy, it's not quite enough this or that, that maybe it just doesn't fully fit the bill for a lot of film festivals generally.
I mean, I really can't say anything without getting myself in too much trouble.
Hmm.
But I do think that we live in a time where and you did not say it, so I'm saying it. It's written and directed and led by white males, and some festivals, God bless them, are solely
Hmm.
focused on the underserved communities.
Hmm.
So that could have been some festivals' reason for going, well, it's really good, but you know, let's go a different direction. I don't think it was the quality of the film, and I don't think it was the subject or the genre, because honestly, it's a tried and true genre, and it's well
Hmm.
done. And Lord knows people, yeah, and it's so cinematic. I mean, obviously, blood is cinematic, right? So I think it was either politics and or well, also a lot of festivals I look down on because I'm a snob jerk because I see the films they accept and I'm like, they just accept films that they know can pack the house and are local. So any
Totally. That's, of course,
festival
part of it. Yeah.
down in the lower 48, south of in that country that's south of Canada, I can't remember its name, but they probably went, oh, these dude, like, what, when we accepted your film, did not, we don't even expect people to necessarily travel. Like, well, of course we're hoping they
Yeah.
will, but it's not like they assume that a Toronto-based film is going to be able to pack the house. And some festivals
Right.
are very good capitalists and know that. and then I see their films, I see their lineup, and I'm like, oh, they took all those mediocre films that are local. I get it.
Yeah.
Good for you. You're
Yeah.
smart. You'll be able to hire more staff. Whereas, you know, what can I say? Our festivals are
You
this
know what?
weird
It's a
little
good point.
thing where we're trying to prove that you can make it based on quality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know what? And now that you've said that too, I remembered that about Sherman Oaks is one of the things you wrote specifically that I went, okay, I'm hopeful. As you said, we don't care. Like basically, you were like, we don't care who made the project. We're only interested in good films. It was something to that effect.
Some of that effect,
Um,
and we
yeah,
add that we do actually love to promote films from those underserved communities, but we also
of course.
refuse
No, no,
we
no. Totally, you
refuse
did.
to
Yes,
have a separate block for them. Like, I
yes.
think there's nothing more insulting than having, you know, an LGBTQ plus block or a Filipino block. I'm like, how dare you separate a film and balkanize it and say, oh, these are special, they're off to the side. No,
Right.
but I
It was an enriching equality. No, it was an
yeah,
it was an
exactly,
it was an equal merit statement, and that's what I took from it. Is you went,
exactly, yeah, yeah.
we're all equal here. We're not looking at it in a kind of spectrum, and so I went, okay, they might just look at the film in that way because again, yeah, definitely, it's not about getting into hot water or anything like that. I also, appreciate what you're saying. One of the things, yeah, we did realize too. Yeah, absolutely. We made the film, and it wasn't the intention to. I think it's important to say that, like, it in no way making this film was it our intention to have it be about, two white males, scary butchers. It just ended up being that way. But I mean, uh, the amount the what's we had such a diverse crew of people working on this project, um, all all different race and gender and voices and opinions, and even though on screen it might look one way, the diversity of thought and people that went into making the film uh, is extremely eclectic, and across the board. So
Exactly. And I'll
yeah,
add, I want to throw some roses at Connie as well, right? Because was Connie the producer who read it right in front of you?
she's not.
She's
She's
not
not.
okay, but
Amanda's
still, Connie's one
out.
of the
Yeah.
producers and a critical performer in the film.
Yes.
And when Connie appears on screen, that's a wonderful twist, I feel. Right?
Yes, it is.
That's very unexpected casting, which I think is really great.
Yeah, and
And her
I always wanted
performance is
her.
fantastic. And I do call out that she did travel with you for the festival for the world premiere and was a
Yes.
really cool person to meet. But besides
Yeah.
that, like that's right, that's not who you expect. Like, yeah, you did some creative casting too.
Absolutely. Yeah, 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 yeah. Definitely a
Absolutely.
lot of creative decisions for sure. Yeah, she
And
was instrumental.
since that
Incredible.
premiere, have you oh, I should have cleared this question first, but more screenings since then now?
Oh, no, great question. So we have some upcoming screenings happening. We just had a one a couple weeks ago. And we also have one coming up this weekend, which is very exciting.
Nice.
And then we have a big one we're doing in April, early April. So that's our big plan for the film, and we're gonna see what happens next.
Excellent, because I have heard, and I have no idea if this is true or not, but I've had many people say to us, we were getting rejected from everyone, and then your festival accepted us, and then we started getting into other festivals. And they theorize that someone's got to give it the stamp of approval once, and
Yeah,
then other jurors and or programming committees, whatever it is, or festival runners start going, okay, got into that top 100 best reviewed festival. I should take a closer look. Or you know what I mean? Like, who knows?
I know what you mean. I don't. Who knows? Who knows?
I really don't know if
It,
it's true, but I've been
sometimes
told
it's a
that
good omen
repeatedly.
too. There honestly there may be truth to that. I think uh, we're all human beings. It's part of the way that we think. Like I've always said too, when it comes to like working with people, people want to work with people they know because they trust, they know what that looks like, and they feel a closeness to it. Same thing, I'm sure, when it comes to for a lot of festivals to program a film and be like, oh well, it went here and it went there, and these people like it. Then I don't feel like I'm other. I feel like I'm part of a tribe. I can connect to that. I'll accept it as well. So I think there is probably truth to that.
There might be, yeah, for sure.
Who knows?
Excellent.
Yeah,
All right, well,
yeah.
good to hear.
We're so
And I assume this gave you you certainly have seems like you have enthusiasm to do this again.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember Connie and I looking at each other after shooting the butchers, and so exhausted. Obviously, we all know what that's like, the stress of it all. And we were just like, we're doing this again, though, right? Yeah, now we're definitely doing this
Already,
again.
see, I was already doing that lame thing where I was finishing your sentence in my head, and I was hoping that like you were sitting there in the world premiere, and then you turn to each other and go, "All right, we got to make another one." But no, it was even before you
Yeah,
screened. You want to,
before.
even on the set you want to do it. So that's great to hear. And
Yeah,
and you got your
definitely.
stack of scripts, and I'm sure you're coming up with ideas
Yep,
all the time.
definitely. No, I have a feature film script that I want to jump to, which I know is extremely ambitious and crazy. And maybe it is, but I don't know. I feel like it's so funny. As with acting, it's been such a predominant part of my life, for so long, that it really took over that career focus. This is what I am, identity lane. And with filmmaking, writing, directing, I felt like I got to see it through like a child's lens, if that makes sense. Um, Seeing in a way that doesn't feel like it's boxed in by limitations, and this is how it's supposed to be, and this is how you're supposed to do it, and all these kinds of things. Um, and I hope I can hold on to that, because I feel like when you have a freedom like that, especially in an art form, that's when you really get something unique and inspired, and honest. So I'm trying to hold on to that, which is why I'm like, I'll jump to a feature. I'll do that. When shooting the short, I just remember thinking, wow, this is like so much work. And at the end of the day, it's 15 minutes is fantastic, but you're like, oh my gosh, like if I just put a little more work, I could get that hour and a half
It
uh,
is actually
film.
true that all the work that goes into making that 15 minute, the 90 minutes, yes, you would have needed, well, six times as many days, but that's would go from 3 to 18. But even if you end up going 21, 24, whatever. But yes,
Hmm.
there actually is a logic to that everything that goes into making a film, uh, there's just about as much work in the short as a feature.
Yeah,
So why not just make the feature?
do
I
it.
hear you. I hear
Well,
you. I
that's my
I
next big
wish
goal.
I'll old joke of mine I haven't used for a long time, but I'll light a candle in the back of my head, light the candle for good luck. That like
Thank you.
that candle's going to burn till you make that feature because you might as well. Why not? And the world
Thank you.
needs. I feel the world needs original, creative art and storytelling to come out and entertain us. Lord knows we don't get original ideas from
Hmm.
too many sources in this era of streaming. We
I
just get
completely agree.
retread. So,
Totally. Oh, it's so tough. It's so tough right
and
now, man.
then what can I say? Ideas come out that no one's ever seen before, like last year's Weapons, and all of a sudden, boom, you got a hit because the audiences want to see something they haven't seen before.
Absolutely, they do. I don't subscribe to the belief that like we have to tailor to this idea of like a two screen uh, policy. You've heard this kind of thing where certain producers are looking at films and being like, yeah, but can someone be on their phone and follow your movie? And I don't think we have to subscribe to that. I think people do love movies. They need to be convinced that it's worth watching. And you just need to make a film that's good enough to put that phone down, and you'll have an audience. People love to watch movies. They just don't like to watch bad movies.
Exactly. It's so true. Yes, yes. I will jump on that soapbox with you about the two screen thing, but I know you've got an audition coming up, so we should let's wrap it up so that
Sure.
I don't
Yes.
want you
Thank
to be
you.
late and I don't want you to be like stressed and hurrying right for this Zoom
Thank
audition.
you.
It's a Zoom audition or something, right? So
It's a Zoom audition. Yeah, yeah.
so if anyone feels like I'm cutting Chad off, I'm not. I'm trying to be helpful here.
He is. You're being gracious, and I appreciate it.
All right. Well, first we'll make clickable links in the show notes of this podcast so
Cool.
people can just go to the show notes and you gave us your social media on Instagram. People can go to This Is Chad Andrews or Hey Bap House. I guess Hey Bap House is your production company.
Yes, sir.
And I assume people should follow that so that they'll know when your screenings are coming up. Who knows? Maybe they can go support you at a festival.
Yes. Yes, please keep an eye out. We've got some exciting things coming for the Hey Bap House account, as well as please follow me in my journey. And I've got some exciting things coming up there too.
Yeah,
So,
excellent.
yeah, keep an eye
All
out.
right. All right. So people follow those links so you can know what Chad's up to. If you want to learn more about this podcast, just go to discoveryindiefilm.com. On social media, it's always at DIFwins. If you go to discoveryindiefilm.org, just change that .com to .org. That is the nonprofit that runs the aforementioned Sherman Oaks Film Festival and its sister festival, Film Invasion Los Angeles. Honestly, same festival, same team, same ethos. The only difference is the name and the time of year. One is summer, one is winter. We couldn't pick a name 11 years ago when we were starting these festivals.
Really?
Yeah, it was a debate. It was just a debate. And I live in Sherman Oaks, and I wanted Sherman Oaks to have a film festival. And my partners were like, nah, it's got to be named after LA. And then I said, let's just do both and see which name does better. And honestly, Sherman Oaks grew faster because it got more local support, whereas Film Invasion LA got more stuff from far away. Makes sense. But anyway,
That does actually make a lot of sense, yeah.
and those two sister festivals had their cousin in South America born this year. In January of 2026, we held the first ever Film Invasion Lima in Peru. And,
Whoa, congratulations.
yeah, it was really cool. I won't waste your time sharing the story, but let's just say that a really high quality team down there had come up to Sherman Oaks Film Festival because they had a film in Sherman Oaks. Now I'm telling the fucking story, and
Go, please.
and
Curious.
literally this writer director said to me at our closing night mixer, "I wish I had an indie film community like this down in Lima." And I said, well, someone hit me up to do Film Invasion London, and then they backed out because they found out how much work. Because I had to say, I'm not going to be your festival runner. I will advise you. And if I know and trust you, you can have the name Film Invasion. And Film Invasion San Francisco, Film Invasion Denver, Film Invasion Vancouver. There was always possibilities, and then people would back out. Tempe, Arizona. And then finally, and I said, but I know and trust you. If you want to do Film Invasion Lima, I will help you out. And then we talked a couple times after the festival, and then it happened. And it went so well, and we got the kind of emails afterwards from people saying this was the best festival I've gone to, my best festival experience. Beautiful theater down in Lima in the Spanish Quarter next to the Natural History Museum and stuff. I'm sorry, National History Museum. So anyway, loved it. And so we're doing it again next year in 2027, but it's cool. And who knows?
That's so cool. I'm so happy that finally worked out, that olive branch of working with people and inspiring them and being a part of them building something as well somewhere else.
Well, if you've got a friend in Toronto who wants to do Film Invasion Toronto, just let me.
Okay, well, no,
then we can have South America,
yeah.
USA, and Canada.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, no, we'll.
Let that sink in.
I'm not aggressively seeking additions, but who knows? Whenever I talk to somebody, anyway, I mentioned, yeah. All right, I think we're good. Chad, thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure. I don't know if I guess we are running out of time, so we don't have time to talk about the films, like some of the questions you had.
Well, if you want to do a quick 5-10 minute version of that, we can.
Well, yeah, if you don't mind me, there was
no. I'm just trying to get you to ready for the audition. But we can hit
You're
stop
awesome.
and then we can hit record and do a quick one of you answering the 4 questions if you want.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. I'm just wrapping up the interview.
Fair enough.
There I am, not being clear enough. All right.
My bad.
Yeah, see, I'm rushing this ending so that we can get in your 4 questions. That's right, everybody. The podcast after this one in the Discover Indie Film podcast feed will be Chad Andrews answering the Discover Indie Film 4 questions, which are just favorite films and underrated and overrated and something lesser known. All right. Thank you, Chad.
My pleasure. Thank
and
you.
thank you, everyone, for listening.